In this video, I'm going to explain very briefly the basic statistics used in portfolio analysis and show how to calculate these statistics in Excel. So two of the most popular statistics used in portfolio analysis are portfolio mean right here and portfolio variance. But to understand the portfolio variance, we need to understand the correlation and covariance concept here. So I have explained what covariance is and how to calculate here. Please read it and try to understand, even if the formula seems complex, but we are going to use Excel function. So to calculate the covariance in Excel, we're going to use that covariance.as function, so it is easy to calculate. Similarly, we're going to use the correl function to calculate the correlation. So just try to be familiar with this, how to calculate, what it means. But I want to focus here on these two basic statistics first, and then I'll explain the other statistics. So portfolio mean and the portfolio variance. To understand the portfolio mean and the variance, you need to first understand the portfolio weights. That's why I started my discussion with the portfolio weights. What is portfolio weight? Portfolio weight basically refers to how much money you put on each stock. So for example here, if you want to calculate the weight on stock A, then what you do is basically what is the money, how much money did you put on stock A over total money you put on the portfolio. Then this is how you calculate the portfolio weights. Once you figure out the portfolio weights, this is the most tricky part in portfolio analysis. And once you know your portfolio weights, calculation of portfolio mean and portfolio variance becomes very easy. And to calculate portfolio mean, all you do is multiply here, multiply the weight by the mean of the first stock plus the weight on the second times the mean return of second stock. So this means the portfolio mean is simply the weighted average of individual stocks. Okay, to calculate portfolio variance, you just have to square the weight on stock A times the variance on stock A plus square of the weight on stock B and variance stock B plus 2 times weight on stock A times weight on stock B times covariance. So this is a formula we have to remember because we're gonna use that formula very frequently. So please keep this in mind. And once you know how to calculate portfolio mean and the portfolio variance, and we can discuss two more statistics which are used in portfolio analysis. One is a portfolio Sharpe ratio. Portfolio Sharpe ratio is very much similar as the Sharpe ratio we discussed for an individual stock. Here, instead of individual stock mean return, we have the portfolio mean return minus risk-free rate over portfolio standard deviation. The Sharpe ratio gives us how much additional return we would get if we take one additional unit of risk. Higher the value of Sharpe ratio means the stock is better because it gives a higher return for the 1 unit of risk you take, and smaller Sharpe ratio means not so good because it gives less return for the 1 unit of risk you take. Now another important measure is portfolio beta. And how do you calculate the portfolio beta? The portfolio beta is very similar to beta of an individual stock. Here we calculate the covariance between the return of the portfolio and return of the market over variance of the market. That's one way to calculate beta. And you can also calculate portfolio beta as a weighted average of individual betas, meaning you'd calculate beta for each stock, stock A and B, and you multiply the portfolio betas by the weights of each stock and sum them up, you get the same answer. However you calculate, you're going to get the same answer. Now I want to show how to calculate these statistics in Excel. I have an Excel file. In this Excel file, in the first column I have dates. In the second column I have prices for Verizon. In third column I have prices for Microsoft. In the fourth column I have S&P 500 index value, and the starting date is January 2001 and it goes all the way to the December 2015. So before we do any further analysis, don't forget to calculate return because that's what we are going to use for further analysis. So let's calculate simple return for Verizon first. So current price minus the past price over the past price, that gives us the return. And I just want to select that in the percent format. So I just did that, and now select these three and then double click on this square box, then you get all the return series for all these three series, meaning Verizon, Microsoft, and S&P 500. Now we can use these returns for further analysis. But before I do that, I want to show you how to calculate portfolio return series. And to calculate portfolio return series, you need to know portfolio weights, meaning how much money you put on each stock, meaning how much you put on Verizon, how much money you put on Microsoft. If you scroll down to this file, and you will see on the first row here, portfolio weights, how much money you want to invest on Verizon and how much money you want to invest on Microsoft. Let's assume that 40% money is being invested on Verizon and 60% money is being invested on Microsoft. Once you know the portfolio weights, you can easily calculate now portfolio return series. 40% is being invested on Verizon, so 40% times Verizon return plus 60% is being invested in Microsoft, so 60% times the Microsoft return. So this is how you calculate maybe the formatting here. All I want to do is just double click and we have that number here. I just want to change the format, just change that to the decimal percent, and you have all the return series here. So once you calculate that return series, first mean, right? So we're going to use the average function as we have been doing this. So average of the Verizon return. All right, and you can copy that to next cell so you can get the average return for Microsoft. Now you want to calculate the variance. So var sample, and it's going to be the Verizon return right here, and then copy and paste to the next one. You get that variance. Now correlation coefficient, and remember CORREL, correl function. So if you correl, meaning correlation between Verizon and Microsoft, the order could be different. You can choose either one because the order doesn't matter. So once you make that both series selection, then close the parenthesis, enter. Okay, the correlation coefficient is 0.45, which is positive, which means these two stocks move in the same direction. If the price of one stock goes up, the price of another stock goes up too. If the price of one stock goes down, the price of another stock goes down too. So now you calculate a covariance, right? So covariance is basically, we're going to use the covariance sample. So again, the return on the Verizon, comma, return on the Microsoft. So once you make that selection, okay, we got that now covariance. So now we calculate mean, variance, correlation, covariance, and now portfolio mean, right? If you want to calculate portfolio mean here, if you go to the PowerPoint, you see the portfolio mean is the weighted average of individual stocks, right? So here, what you would do is weight on Verizon times the mean return of Verizon plus weight on Microsoft times the mean return on the Microsoft. Okay, then this is how you get the portfolio mean, which is 0.69%. So now let's calculate portfolio variance. To calculate portfolio variance, look at here how we calculate that. Here, the formula. If you look at the formula here, is square of the weight on stock A times the variance of A plus square of the weight on stock B times the variance of stock B plus 2 times weight on stock A times weight on stock B times covariance between these two stocks, right? So here, what you have to do is basically weight on Verizon to the power 2, which is the square of the weight, times the variance of the Verizon stock plus weight of the Microsoft stock to power 2 times the variance of the Microsoft stock plus 2 times weight on Verizon times weight on Microsoft times the covariance right here. That's all we need. Okay, we got that. So let me change the format here. For some reason, Excel keeps on changing the format. So here I have the portfolio mean, which is 0.0069 and portfolio variance, which is 0.0235. Okay, once we calculate portfolio mean and the variance, we want to calculate portfolio Sharpe ratio and portfolio beta. To calculate Sharpe ratio, we need the risk-free rate. Let's assume that the risk-free rate is 0.0025%. And once you know the risk-free rate, Sharpe ratio is easy, right? Sharpe ratio is basically what? If you look at the formula here, Sharpe ratio is basically portfolio mean return minus risk-free rate over portfolio standard deviation, right? So that means your portfolio mean is this minus risk-free rate over standard deviation of the portfolio, right? Which is the square root of SQRT, gives us the square root of the portfolio variance. Yes, portfolio variance. And that gives us the Sharpe ratio, which is 0.1156. Now, let's calculate portfolio beta. And if you remember how to calculate portfolio beta again, see here, it's simply the covariance between the portfolio return and market return over variance of market return, right? So here is a covariance right here, and now you need the portfolio return series and market return series. So I'm going to select the portfolio return here, portfolio return series, comma, and now I need the market return series. All I need is the market return series. So I'm going to, okay, again, as I have said, the order doesn't matter. So that's a covariance between market return and the portfolio mean return over variance of the market return, right? So again, the variance of market return. So that's all we need. So okay, I got that number. Again, the formatting, for some reason this Excel's format doesn't work. Okay, so here portfolio beta is 0.9389. So this is how we calculate portfolio beta